Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. Remember when we beat Resident Evil 4 with just explosives? What a time that was. Actually, now that I think about it, the remake came out a bit ago, and I still haven't played that one. I wonder if you can beat the remake— Oh god, why is this so scary now? Por favor, no me vas matar. No me vas matar! Oh hey, it's Dr. Salvador. It's okay though, I had an apple today. He can't get— Oh god, my entire childhood was a lie! Man, sure is a shame they never remade Resident Evil 4. But hey, Resident Evil 5 exists. And while I don't think it was Capcom's original intention, this game is just as campy and silly as RE4, which means my fragile psyche can actually make it through this one. So, with that in mind, it's time to find out. Can you beat Resident Evil 5 with only explosives? So, while Capcom pretends that the story makes any sense at all at this point in the franchise, let's talk about what we're doing here today. Resident Evil 5 is a bit different than RE4 due to two big changes they made in the system. First, the game is now co-op focused, to the point where you have an AI partner with you at all times. And second, the merchant who always asked you, "What are you buying?" has been completely removed from the game, and replaced with a between missions shop, which does make the game easier, but not nearly as fun. Now because I'm so super cool and popular, I wasn't able to convince anyone to play through this run with me. So we're gonna have to resort to using the AI to get through the game. But don't worry, because the AI partner is actually pretty competent. Most of the time. Let's meet today's unfortunate souls. We have SHEVA Alamar, BSAA agent of Africa and our personal liaison for the game, and the world's first sentient refrigerator, Chris Redfield, a character that's been in the Resident Evil series so many times that he's developed trauma from the very idea of having a partner. Right, let's get this party started. We make our way through the beginning village streets, realize that said streets are suddenly empty, despite being full of people only a few seconds ago, then meet up with our contact, who tries to immediately invalidate my run by offering me and SHEVA a gun. And here's the one and hopefully only exception I'm gonna have to make for this run. There is no way to prevent SHEVA from grabbing that first pistol. And while I can control what does and doesn't go into her inventory from here on out, I can't take her gun. I was hopeful that I could discard my own gun and then force her to give me hers, but apparently I'm not allowed to be defenseless this early in the game either. Stupid Capcom preventing me from being miserable. It makes me sick. Speaking of sick, a word to the wise. Do not play this game with a mouse and keyboard. The controls are fine, but holy hell is the sensitivity and camera movement dialed up to 11. Better to just deal with the slightly slower gamepad controls and call it a day. We may not be able to aim with extreme accuracy, but not having to puke into a bucket every 10 minutes is probably worth it. Besides, this is an explosive run. Damage is basically guaranteed so long as enemies are on the screen. Accuracy be damned. I do a little exploring, loot any medicinal herbs and gold that I come across, then walk in on what appears to be a bachelor party of some kind. You know, with the writhing and screaming and being forced to eat mysterious substances by close friends and relatives. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just here to progress the story. You do you. And they're leaving. You know, I'm no doctor, but I don't think your blood is supposed to do that. Chris, your thoughts? Anywho, meet the new version of Las Plagas. Now an oral supplement instead of an injection, it's basically Resident Evil 4 all over again. But unlike RE4, I can actually run away from the first enemy in the game. And after accidentally shooting a box, I dramatically jump out the window, steal all the loose ammo I can from SHEVA to hopefully keep her influence on the run to a minimum, then find the first usable weapon of the run, an explosive grenade. And just in time too, because it's time for everyone's favorite moment in Resident Evil 4. You know the one, with the villagers and the house and the chainsaw. SHEVA, you secure the house, and I'll make us some lunch. Ooh, another grenade. Sadly, there's no real way to prevent SHEVA from firing those 10 bullets that she's carrying around, but I can grab all the loose bullets hidden around the house to make sure she can't fire anymore. She is actually a pretty good shot, so she was able to kill 3 villagers before she ran out of ammo. But none of the villagers dropped anything useful, so I'm okay with dismissing the error if you all are. It's SHEVA's first challenge run, cut her some slack. I did my best to avoid all the villagers, with less than spectacular results, but unlike Resident Evil 4, I don't think you can simply wait for the horde to leave you alone in this game. Guess it's time to test out the explosives. Yeah, that'll do. And with the first batch of enemies killed, Chris finally remembers he has a radio and calls for backup. We just need to survive for a few minutes. Of course, things are getting progressively more hostile here, with enemies pouring in from every door, window, and hole in the ceiling. But never fear, the executioner is here. Wait, what am I talking about? We should be terrified. But thanks to Biggie Smalls, we can now explore the rest of the village, hopefully putting some distance between us and all the enemies while we loot the area. Now if I could just aim my knife properly, we'd be at business. SHEVA, can you keep it down over there? I'm trying to figure out the controls. Oh, that's a problem. We should run now. Ooh, shiny chest. What do we have here? Oh god, another gun. Well, can't let Sheva have that. Here, hold this for me. Not exactly what I meant, but sure, that works too. Ugh, Sheva, did you pick up ammo again? You know you're not allowed to have that. Here, give me what you have. Okay, this is fine. I just need my EpiPen. Whew. Okay, let's get the hell out of here. All right, in the clear. Now we just need to, oh, come on. So, good news, bad news. The good news is that Sheva is pretty good about keeping my medicine close by. So that's helpful. The bad news is that she can't do that forever. If I go down enough times, I'll eventually just straight up die. But good news again, I was actually able to clear out the entire village of loot before our backup got here. And despite Sheva somehow sneaking more bullets into her pockets, so long as I keep moving around the map, she doesn't have time to stop and fire off shots at the enemies. And after a few minutes of circling the village, backup has finally arrived. See, Sheva? Kirk understood the assignment. If we're gonna make this work, I'm gonna need you to be more like Kirk. But with everyone dead, it's time to go shopping. Welcome to the preparation screen. Between each mission, we can organize our inventories, buy and sell items, and sell off any treasure we find throughout the level. Naturally, the first thing I did was sell all of my ammunition and guns, then sell Sheva's pistol, because the woman is just a little too trigger happy for my liking, and I'd much rather she save that inventory slot for something more useful. Editor Lemon here, I'm also just noticing that you can, in fact, upgrade your weapons. That would have made parts of the game a lot easier. Well, too late for that now. We've got 4 grenades to our name. Truly, we are wealthy beyond measure. And now that Sheva no longer has a gun, we can pick up everything and anything without worrying about the consequences, which means Sheva is now our walking ammunition box. But Lemon, I hear you ask, how do you expect to get through all the levels with only 4 grenades? Simple. The same way speedrunners have been getting through Resident Evil for years. Now granted, I'm not a speedrunner, so it doesn't always work, but more often than not, I can more or less just run right past enemies, collect all the loot of the area, then sprint my happy ass to the end of the level, where a doorway that requires teamwork to open will almost always delete all of the enemies behind me. I guess teamwork makes the dream work after all. Good work, partner. I snag a new weapon off the wall, which we'll sell for cash later, completely ignore all the enemies in the area, then arrive at Alpha Team's location. Well, they certainly sound like they're having a good time. Oh, Alpha Team. First one's in, last one's out the club. Am I right, Fabian? Fabian? I'm sure he's fine. We find Alpha Team's leader, who's conveniently on the precipice of death before he can give us any information about our target, Irving, and get a new mission. Get a data drive back to HQ. Chris, I'm sorry, but he's past his expiration date. I know it's hard to accept, but you can't refrigerate everyone. Moving right along, it's actually time for our first boss. We scurry along this hallway, get a random cutscene that seems weirdly interested in that fire over there, pick up a furnace key, which will actually open the way to the next room, then get to watch Chris try to understand how keys work. Come on, buddy, I know you can do it. No, don't look at that, just use the key. Use the key, Chris, we can leave if you just use the key. So we're not using the key. Instead, we're gonna try and get revenge on this thing for killing Alpha Team. She's fine, she'll be fine. Now, normally, you'd tip over these gas canisters so that our new friend can pick them up and make for easy fire damage. But I don't think he likes that idea very much. We could also try to trap him inside the incinerator, again in hopes of getting some hefty fire damage. But Sheva doesn't seem interested in sacrificing herself for the team, which means Gumby here walks in and walks out of the room too fast for it to trap him. Fine, I'll do it myself. Never let an AI do a refrigerator's job. You know, on second thought, it's a bit toasty in here. I think I'll pass. Well, he looks like he's having a good time in there. And just like that, that's the first boss dead without even using a single item. You'll love to see it. And after downloading the data to HQ via a conveniently placed laptop, that's the end of Chapter 1-2. I think I'm getting the hang of this. Fun fact, this egg I found on the floor is worth more money than a shotgun. Thank God Chris can keep food items nice and cold. But with 6 grenades to our name, it's time to push on to Chapter 2-1. Ah, the good old shipping container maze. A classic. And wouldn't you know it, we've got explosive traps as well. It's a shame there's only one solution to this puzzle, but it's not like we could just duck underneath them or anything. It's okay though. Nothing a little first aid spray can't fix. Oh look, puppies! No thank you, I'd rather die. Oh thank God, a small gap. That should save us. And now there's a truck. Honestly, I think I prefer the dogs. With what gun, Sheva? With what gun? So, Sheva, what did we learn today? Thankfully, there was a checkpoint right before we jumped that gap, so we can easily try again. And if this is anything like Resident Evil 4, we should be able to just use one of our precious grenades to stop the truck and oh, never mind, we're dead. Okay, well, maybe I just threw it a little late. If we throw it just a second or two after the cutscene ends, our explosion should go off right as, and we're dead again. Right, new plan. Instead of using an explosive grenade, let's use an incendiary grenade instead. Hey, there we go. You wouldn't think fire could do what explosives can't, but you also wouldn't think that finding a grenade in a pile of fruit is a common occurrence. Just video game things, I guess. And after sprinting through the entire level, knifing every pile of fruit I can find, HQ decides that my pseudo-pacifist run isn't exciting enough and sends Kirk to provide explosive backup. His aim may be terrible, but his heart's in the right place. Or it was, but I think all those BOWs are currently removing it and putting it somewhere else. Goodbye, Kirk. One day a helicopter pilot in a Resident Evil game will survive. One day. But there's no time to mourn the best NPC in the game. We've got a new brick wall to solve, the double apartment problem. The door to the street is locked, so the only solution is to throw SHEVA into the apartment complex across the street, where she'll have to fight her way to the door and unlock it for us. There's just one problem. SHEVA doesn't have a weapon, and she's not exactly smart enough to run between all of the zombies on her own. A fact that the multiple enemies she's now staring down will probably take full advantage of. So, though it causes me internal suffering, I have to use a grenade to get her down the first steps, then another grenade to get her down the second. Alright, SHEVA, the way is clear. Now go open the door. SHEVA? Wait, who gave her a knife? Who gave SHEVA a knife? You know what? I'll yell at you about it later. Let's just get the hell out of here. Is what I would say if there weren't a man with a chainsaw staring us down. Run. Time to run. Okay, first idea. What if we just ignore him and try to run away? Well, it was worth a shot. Idea number 2, kill it with fire. I mean, it's not working. What if we add a little flare to our flame? Okay, this could work. This could definitely work. And while it did take every single grenade I had, he did in fact go down in the end. Well done, team. Now let's never do that again. But for our efforts, it looks like he was sitting on a literal treasure trove of goodies. I'm pretty sure the game just gave me about 10,000 gold's worth of treasure to sell at the end of the level, which doesn't help me now, but will help me later on in the— Aha! Surprise zombie on a motorcycle with a chain whip! You thought we had time for strategizing and planning? Absolutely not. It's time for extremely well coordinated motorcycle maneuvers that may or may not have taken these zombies weeks of practice. And you know what? Good for them. It's important to have hobbies, you know? And hey look, Delta Squad is here to watch the show as well. Wait, no, what are you doing? Oh God, why? They were just excited to show off their routines. Why does it always have to come down to violence? Well, you did it. You ruined Christmas. I hope you're happy. Anyway, I guess Irving has been found in a mining area nearby, and since we're a much smaller team with much less firepower, it only makes sense that we be put on this very important mission. Chris, your thoughts? Anyway, time for the next level. I sell off all the treasure I found, which doesn't really make up for the fact that I only have a single grenade right now, then proceed through another exploding storage container maze. Oh look, it even has dogs. Hey there, puppy. Ooh, not the face! But, despite Chris once again forgetting how legs work and failing to even remotely duck under several tripwires, we find ourselves in a mine shaft with no map and no light source outside of this lantern. Normally, this is a big deal, since one player is completely vulnerable while holding the lantern. But, yeah, basically just the same way we've been playing this entire time. So no biggie. Ooh, new grenade type. Flash grenades. They don't do damage, but they can blind enemies. They can also instantly kill any Las Plagas that bursts out of the damaged enemies, which would be super useful if I was actually doing damage. But I don't think I've even seen Las Plagas at this point in the run. Now, I did get a little turned around in the mineshaft, and end up getting pinned behind every single enemy on the map, but after letting SHEVA take a quick nap, it turns out the solution was actually really simple. Let SHEVA hold the lantern. Sure, I can't see as well, because she's always trailing behind me, but now I don't have to put down and pick up the lantern every time I loot an item, which gives us just enough time to get all the goodies around the map without getting cornered, and eventually reach the completely unnecessary airlock system that leads out of the mine. Alright, SHEVA, I need you to go unlock the door from the other side now. SHEVA? Any day now. SHEVA, please, I'm sorry I kept comparing you to Kirk. Please let me through. Let's just add that to the list of things we need to talk about later, yeah? Here, have these bullets as a sign of my trust and respect. But now for something completely different, the BSAA actually being effective at their jobs for once. I don't know how, but we actually caught up to Irving.
Wow, perceptive, aren't ya?
Oh my God.
You're just like all the other pieces of scum terrorists.
Oh, I'm not like them. I'm a businessman with standards.
Oh my God. Is there an award for Best Voice Actor of the Year? If there is, this man should have won. In any case, a mysterious cloaked figure bursts through the window, steals Irving from us without so much as a fight, and disappears without a trace. But it's okay, because Irving left behind some clearly labeled documents explaining what they were doing here. Apparently, there's some experiments going on in the oil field. Alright, Chris, you can do this. Where does that mean we need to go? Chris? Must be something in the water, because Chris isn't the only one having a hard time with cognitive thought. SHEVA, please duck. Close enough. But after sprinting past several machine gun turrets and climbing a litany of ladders, it's time to face the second boss of the game, who is being delivered by Amazon truck, for some reason. Have no fear, Batman is here. Or rather, some sort of Bat-Grub hybrid. I don't know, man, I just work here. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we are desperately low on explosives. But good news! This is the part of the game where we are introduced to a new explosive, proximity bombs. And boy oh boy is this game excited for me to use them. These suckers are everywhere. In fact, explosives of all kinds are littered across the boss arena. We just might make it out of this yet. So, let's talk proximity bombs. Simply place a bomb at your feet, then run like hell. When an enemy walks close enough to the bomb, it goes off. And that's it. If you feel like you've put a bomb in the wrong place, you can safely walk up to it and pick it back up without blowing yourself up. But don't get too excited, because if an enemy triggers one of your bombs when you're too close to it, you'll get caught in the blast. Now, allegedly, their damage can be stacked if several of them go off at the same time, but I think the damage is less due to the fact that the enemy didn't actually step on it to trigger it. So while stacking all my proximity bombs into a single pile for one big explosion sounds like a good time, I think we're better off just using them one at a time, considering our limited quantity. And that's all it takes. I toss Backgrub the occasional firebomb, steadily lure it onto mine after mine, and eventually, after more explosives than I care to count, Backgrub decides it's had enough and does me the service of dying. Oop, wait a minute, it's still alive. Chris, no, what are you doing? Put down the gun. Chris, stop, you'll ruin the integrity of the Oh wait, never mind, he wasn't even shooting at the boss. And just like that, boss number 2 is dead, which means 2 very special things are about to happen. First off, we've cleared chapter 2-2, which means we can now buy something super special in the shop. That's right, proximity bombs are now on the menu. And while the price tag of $1,500 may look a bit pricey, that $1,500 is for a full stack. And with each bomb doing about 1,500 damage, that's a fucking pittance to pay for such firepower. Consider me sold. Sadly, the second special thing is much less exciting. The whole next level is a required minigun section. And as much as I'd like to just hold my fire and let SHEVA take the blame for all the non-explosive deaths that are about to happen, she simply doesn't have the AI to hold off all the enemies long enough to survive the level before our vehicle's health dwindles down to 0. It's a bummer whenever a game has mandatory sections like these, but it is what it is. Yeah, at least we get the pleasure of watching our Humvee magically do an ollie across a river. You know, as they do. Oh look, it did it again. Well, if it isn't El Gigante. Haven't seen you since the last game. That a new beard? Looks good. Well, if you've played Resident Evil 5 before, you already know how this portion of the game goes.
Take this, you ugly bastard!
SHEVA language. She is right though. Shoot the big ugly fella and the bugs, shoot the big ugly bug and the fella, and after a minute or two, boom goes the dynamite. Sorry, Gigante. Better luck next time. Anyway, time for chapter 3. Chris and SHEVA chit-chat a bit. Chris trauma dumps about Jill, his partner, who fell to her death tackling Wesker off a cliff, and we roll up on the Marshland village. The level is simple enough. Just visit all the individual sectors around the map and collect the 3 slate pieces. And if you're feeling particularly spicy, you can visit the parts of the map that don't have slates, where you just might find a little present. Oh my, what have we here? As far as the sectors themselves go, there's really not much to it. Just dodge past the baddies and sprint ahead to the next area. Huh, this one is apparently filled with water. Well, I'm sure it's fine. Okay, let's try that again. Sidestep the crocodiles, steal the second slate piece, then glide my way down the stripper river to steal the third and final piece. Now all we need to do is zoom back to the gate and put in all the pieces, and we're trapped here now.
You steer! I'll shoot!
Shoot what, SHEVA? Shoot what? So, slight problem. We're stuck in here, with no way to fight back. I did my best to squeeze underneath the enemies in hopes that they would just blow themselves up, but no dice there. And somehow, I don't think giving SHEVA the rocket launcher is the right move here either. But after a few minutes of panic, it turns out that it was a time limit the whole time. If you can survive for a little over a minute, the gates go down on their own. No retaliation needed. Which means we are free to plug all of our slates into the doorway, scurry our way down a river that definitely has more crocodiles in it, then play tag in the next village, where there are several big bads with spooky masks. Reminds me of the pig helmet from Dark Souls. But a few well-placed mines later, and that's an easy level clear. And I didn't even have to use my brand new rocket launcher. You'll love to see it. Also worth noting, rocket launchers are now a buyable weapon in the shop. So that's pretty freaking neato. The next level is more of the same. Dodge through all the enemies, get them to murder each other whenever you can, then climb aboard a raft and realize that you've made a terrible, terrible mistake. Because if the enemies aren't chasing you, that means they're chasing SHEVA, who is the one and only way you can progress through the level. Well, we had a good run. Goodbye, rocket launcher. It was nice while it lasted. And after getting pestered by a flying BOW and a hungry crocodile, we make our way into a cave system, where it turns out that a pharmaceutical company is doing experiments on the local flora, fauna, and denizens. Oh my god, you guys! Pharmacy companies are evil? Wow, thank god this is a video game. Can you imagine what it'd be like if that happened in real life? And I made myself sad. Right, Time to make our way through the oil refinery. Spin the doohickeys, turn off the fire so we can get through. Easy stuff. Or it would be, if someone didn't keep running into a chainsaw every goddamn time. SHEVA, we're supposed to be fighting against the pharmaceutical companies. If we keep going at this rate, you and I will be responsible for their stock rising 400% in 24 hours. Now use this dirty green herb I found on the ground. We make our way into a warehouse where we bump back into a familiar face. It's Josh! Wait, what? How the heck did Josh find us in the middle of nowhere?
We're at the port when we were attacked. And then, well, I ended up here.
Vague, but honestly, more believable than anything else I've seen today. But we don't have time for plot holes. We've got a protection mission to do. The mission is simple enough. Protect Josh from all the enemies so he can hack an elevator or whatever. How hard can that be? Alright, but yeah, simple stuff. I think it was another time limit mission, because after about 2.5 minutes, Josh gets the elevator working again, and the three of us can make our way through the scaffolding to another locked door. Don't worry, I'll just put a mine below this ladder. They'll never see it coming. In unrelated news, Tricell's stock went up another 5 points today. Okay, new strategy. SHEVA, you stay with Josh. I'll go on ahead and lead everyone on a merry chase. And, judging by the revving chainsaw noises in my ear, followed by the occasional explosions off screen, I think it's working. Oh look, Josh got the door open. Well, gentlemen, it's been a hoot, but I gotta get going. Make sure you enjoy the party favors. Whew, alright, we're safe now. I'm pretty sure enemies don't understand how to use doors. And with Josh staying behind for reasons, we finally caught up with Irving.
Splendid timing! You two are just in time for the fireworks show! Boom!
Wait!
I love that guy. Well, anyway, the whole oil refinery is set to explode. Time to run. No challenge here. Just kick your way through doors, step on the occasional trip mine, and zip zap zoop. That's the end of chapter 3-2. Alright, Chris, ready to kill Irving? Good man. But first, boat chase time. So, slight problem. The only ranged weapon I own is a rocket launcher, and that's a one-time use. And unless my memory no longer serves, this entire level is one big shooting gallery, which might make things difficult. On a positive note, it looks like all those boats that were chasing us are stuck behind that gate, so we got that going for us. Ah, right, the gate puzzles. Forgot about that part. Well, the first gate only requires one person to operate, so that one was easy enough. And despite my worries, SHEVA understood the assignment and skipped all the enemies to help me with gate number 2. I mean, yeah, we got mowed down by miniguns at the very end and lost a good chunk of health, but a win's a win. And with that, we've caught up to Irving, because time and distance are an illusion in Resident Evil land, and I'd appreciate it if you'd respect that fact.
Won't you two just die already? You're making me look bad!
What? No, you look great. SHEVA, tell him.
But not anymore.
Don't do it!
Oh man, no, don't do that. Didn't you watch The Substance? Injecting strange liquids into your body never goes well. Chris, your thoughts?
I'm far beyond anything you could ever hope to become!
I mean, he's not wrong. If I could be half the voice actor this man is, my life would be complete. Well anyway, time to fight the Gen Moran. Yes, that's a Monster Hunter reference, and I appreciate the 14 of you that caught that. Much like El Gigante, you have to use the turrets on the boat to kill Irving. But unlike El Gigante, one of those turrets shoots rockets, which means I don't have to sit and watch SHEVA have all the fun. Sadly, a good portion of the fight is on the back of the boat, where the rocket turret can't quite aim, but SHEVA is happy enough to cover that for us. I can still occasionally hit Irving's tentacles too. See that, chat? I'm doing my part too. After a few minutes of the boss repeating its pattern over and over again though, I got a bit suspicious and decided to grab a machine gun and shoot a few bullets into Irving's face. And lo and behold, the boss died instantly. Just like Monster Hunter, your little buddies can knock a monster down to 1 HP, but you have to be the one to land the killing blow. But with Irving dead, it's on to chapter 4. We're running out of leads to follow, but Irving's partner was using this boat earlier, so she must be around here somewhere. Boy, this game sure is a roller coaster of plot points, huh? I can't even imagine what we're gonna see next. Oh. Yeah, no, skip. Ugh, skip? Oh god, must skip faster. I literally cannot press the skip button any faster. Come on. Oh look, we've reached the Indiana Jones portion of the game. Well, guess we have a reputation to live up to. Time to loot the entire city and then hand wave the morality of that by putting what we steal in a museum. Oh look, they've even got booby traps. Fun fact, the term booby trap originates from sailors who used traps to catch blue-footed booby birds. The more you know. But after introducing the locals to a booby trap of my own, and accidentally raising Tricell's stock another few points, I set off a few more traps, do some impossible mid-air cool guy flips, deal with this bullshit, lower the life expectancy of my controller a bit more with some button mashing QuickTime events, and do some more teamwork puzzles with SHEVA. And for my troubles, I'm rewarded with the key that will make the rest of this game a walk in the park. Say hello to the grenade launcher. No longer are we confined to placing traps on the ground or praying that the game gives me a ranged option that doesn't cost $10,000 a shot. Now, our explosives are long range, accurate, and come in 3 distinct flavors: explosive, acid, and flashbang. Explosive rounds do exactly what you think they do, delivering a frag grenade to any and all long-range customers. They also have some pretty hefty knockback, so you can use them for crowd control and or easier kills as needed. Very good stuff. As for the acid rounds, the internet assures me that they're great for an upcoming enemy type, but they aren't very good for anything else. Personally, I can't imagine the game developers made an ammo type specifically for a single enemy, but I've been wrong before. And lastly, we have the flashbang rounds. Good for stunning groups of enemies, or killing the BOW versions that pop out of them in one hit. Oh, would you look at that? We're past the sun laser portion. Sorry, just kinda glazed over that part. But after swallowing a few raw eggs, and doing a few more beam puzzles to make ancient elevators operate, apparently, we find the Forbidden Flower Garden. That's right, this whole game has been about Tricell trying to grow the perfect orchid flower. Aw man, does that mean we're the bad guys? Oh, wait, never mind. Turns out the flower gives you superpowers and is the source of the progenitor virus, aka the whole reason the Resident Evil series even exists. Apparently, if you give this flower to animals or humans, you get BOWs. BOWs like our good friend the Licker here. Good to see you, pal. What's it been, 20 years? Sadly, I forgot to bring the acid rounds, which are allegedly the best rounds to use against them, but with a little ring around the rosy and control stick spinning, I can push my way through the Licker lab without engaging them.
Thank God there weren't more of them.
Yeah, we wouldn't last in a fight with a whole horde.
So foreshadowing is a literary device where, oh, that's a lot of lickers. Good thing they can only hear personal insults.
Guess their senses are weak.
Damn it! They hurt us!
Oh, for Chris, did you really have to get the last word on a horde of lickers? I mean, really, you're the literal embodiment of the Dorito body shape. Was it necessary to tell the creatures that have no skin and terrible mouth hygiene that you're better than them? Well, I hope it was worth it, because now we're stuck here. Well, I should probably do something. Maybe if ooh, they can reach inside the elevator. Okay, new plan. And there's one inside the elevator with us now. Fantastic. Thankfully, I don't think Resident Evil 5 expected this kind of nonsense from players, because as soon as SHEVA gets into position, the lickers get deleted and we can move on. Which means we can now, is this the Matrix? Okay, yeah, this is more or less that one scene from the Matrix. All we need now is a giant squid robot and we've got the whole package. Sadly, we don't have the rights to that IP, but can I interest you in a giant armored spider instead? So, good news, bad news. The good news is that this thing has several easy to notice weak spots. The bad news is that they're a little tricky to line up, and that trying to do said lining up puts you in harm's way. More bad news, the boss also has these weird mosquito enemies to pester you, but more good news, the mosquito enemies can be killed by the boss, and almost always drop explosive rounds. And with one roller coaster of a paragraph, you can already see how this boss fight is going to go. Shoot the legs to stun it, shoot its conveniently open mouth with everything you've got once it's stunned, realize that you've got a full inventory mid-boss fight and desperately try to drop something so you can pick up more ammo, then pick up all the loose ammo around the arena so you can actually fight back again. I'm pretty sure this was the longest fight I've had so far, mainly due to my poor aim and the game begrudgingly giving me one explosive round at a time. But after 10 minutes of running around in a circle, it's finally over. I think we need to fix our build a bit. Let's just ditch the proximity mines, load up on all the different types of grenade launcher ammo, and there we go. Ready for chapter 5-2. Though I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yeah, health kits. I forgot health kits. Well, nothing a little mysterious green plant can't fix. Looks like we're at the point in the game where the zombies now have guns. Guess that means we're almost done. That does make sprinting through the levels a bit harder, since enemies are much better at shooting at me than they are at grabbing me, but at least we can fight back now. And don't worry, the old cutscenes make you immune to bullets and delete any previous enemy trick still works. It's not pretty, and there's a lot more close calls than I would like, but you can't deny that the current build is getting the job done. I'd probably do well to buy a bulletproof vest, but after that last boss fight, I'm not exactly interested in giving up any of my ammunition slots. Oh look, our old friend the Licker is back. Guess we get to see how well these acid rounds actually work. 2 to 3 shots to kill an enemy isn't exactly what I'd call super effective, but I guess when the comparison is 4 to 5 shots with explosive rounds, I can see the reasoning. I take a quick break to start a job in the Amazon warehouse, which I immediately quit after nearly dying to unsafe cutscene conditions, then decide to hand my resignation to Mr. Bezos himself. Ugh. Hello, Mr. Bezos. I regret to inform you that I've decided, to change careers and will no longer be working on the, assembly line? Is this a bad time? I feel like this is a bad time. You know what? I'll just leave my resignation letter here on the floor and you can just read it later. Time to fight the first boss, version 2.0. Unfortunately, we no longer have a go-go gadget incinerator room that we can rely on, so this fight is going to be a bit messy. But wouldn't you know it, there's a flamethrower just sitting over here on the wall, where any old AI or refrigerator can use it. So here's the plan. We use the explosives placed so generously around the map, let Mr. Bezos suck them up, then add a little explosive of our own to the mix. I also had SHEVA use the flamethrower because she seemed really excited about it and I didn't want to take that away from her. And between the two of us, I think we got this fight in the bag. Also, I apparently found some flame rounds for my grenade launcher at some point last level, so I now have access to those in the shop. So yeah, flames and explosives ahoy. SHEVA, I know I've been a bit hard on you at times, but I just wanted to say that you're doing a great job. Hey, Mr. Bezos, you're fired. I'm gonna be in so much trouble with HR. Anywho, moving on to chapter 5-3. Oh look, it's one of those bug things from Resident Evil 4. I hope you like fire. Okay, so it doesn't seem to have an opinion about fire. You know what? I'm just gonna run past it. It's worked on every other enemy in the past. Oh, hello. I know you're having a good time, but can you please stop? I kinda need these organs to live. Okay. How about an electric round? Please tell me the logic behind that working is because it's a fucking bug zapper. Sorry, did I forget to mention the electric rounds? There are electric rounds now. I'm telling you, this grenade launcher does the job of 4 different guns. Why wouldn't you use it? FBI, open up! You have the right to remain silent. Ooh, my face! Back to the Matrix room, which is apparently an elevator now, where I now have to shoot enemies at long range to keep them from pausing the elevator. All while the elevator spins, mind you. And then I have to run past an entire staircase of men with guns, also I could end up in, you guessed it, more ruins. And look who rallied and rejoined the party. Man, you lickers never miss an opportunity to crowd up a narrow hallway, do ya? I desperately pushed an entire dumpster full of wood and trash, though apparently not fast enough, before finally arriving at the big scary door at the end of the ruins, and finally corner Excella, the big bad lady boss who I haven't mentioned once this entire time. Well, maybe corner is too strong a word. More like followed until I got attacked by a lady cosplaying as a plague doctor, and then shot wildly at before realizing that this was the Matrix and bullets don't work here. I love how even the game forgets about Excella. No, really, look. SHEVA and I just shot multiple bullets directly at where Excella is allegedly standing now. She should be dead 6 or 7 times over. But the game knows you don't care about inconsistencies. You care about Albert Wesker in tight pleather, complete with sewn-in abs and pecs. Do those things cost extra? Asking for a friend. And now for the big reveal. The Plague Doctor was Jill all along! Chris, that's Jill. Oh, for the love of your partner.
7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
Alright, it's 2 on 2, it's a fair fight. Alright, it's 2 on 1, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Alright, SHEVA, I'll run away and loot the entire map, and you stay down there with Wesker and Jill and get shot. Sound like a plan? Good, glad we're on the same page. But on a more serious note, this fight is actually incredibly easy. All we have to do is run away from both Jill and Wesker for a few minutes, and we're home free. I mean, yeah, we get kicked through a doorway and into a maze of hallways, but that just means it's easier to hide. And after the 7 agreed upon minutes that Wesker was willing to devote to toying with us, it's now a 2v1 in our favor, us against Jill. Did you just hiss at me? No, bad cat, no biscuit. Go to your room and think about what you've done. This fight is incredibly simple. Blind Jill, let SHEVA grab her, then use a quicktime event to rip the bug thing off her chest. And after letting SHEVA dish back some of what she received earlier, and several finger-numbing minutes of button mashing, Chris uses the daintiest grip imaginable to rip off the device and save the day. Yeah, that's fine. It's not like that thing was placed over her heart or anything, just rip that sucker out of there. And after Jill uses the magic word to activate Chris, it's time to push forward to the next plot point. Good job, team. We're almost done. Uh-oh, I think Chris is getting low on Freon. Hang in there, buddy. We've only got 2 more bosses to go. Oh, hey, Excella's a thing again. She definitely didn't disappear in all the excitement or anything. Time for the second to last level. Ship deck. Yeah, no, I just sprinted through the entire thing. The game tried to pull all sorts of gotcha moments on me, but, yeah. Just run. There's just one problem. Just a tiny thing, not a big deal. See this room here? There's 2 elevators. Elevators that are raised and lowered by shooting panels. Do you see the problem yet? Yep. SHEVA needs to shoot a panel so I can join her up there. Otherwise she just stalls out or drops back down to join you. The first thing I tried was buying another grenade launcher and giving it to SHEVA. After all, I've already proven that using the grenade launcher on the panel works. Unfortunately though, SHEVA doesn't seem to understand that fact, which means we're gonna have to do something a bit more desperate. Alright, SHEVA, I'm gonna give you your gun back, but I want you to only use it on the panel. Got it? Oh, for God's sake. SHEVA, no! Bad! In all fairness, I gave her the worst pistol in the game, and at this point in the run, her damage is so low that it shouldn't make any difference. But still, a bit upsetting that the AI couldn't figure out how to use the grenade launcher against things that weren't enemies. We find Excella again, ask her a few questions while shooting bullets at her, as you do, and make sure to grab the magical mystery MacGuffin she dropped for later on in the story. Then, after a bit more running and gunning, the game decides that Excella has outlived her usefulness and does what it does to every character who is no longer plot relevant. It turns her into a squid monster. And hey, would you look at that? A conveniently placed pile of dead bodies for Excella to munch on. Now if only this thing had a weak point. Oh, there it is. Now if only we had the hammer of oh, there it is. Now if only SHEVA knew how to use a satellite-based weapon of mass destruction. Oh, there you go. Now if only I had several rocket-propelled grenades that I could. Oh, hey, I do. Well, that was easy. But wouldn't you know it, Wesker has an assault bomber somewhere on the ship, and he's gonna use it to spread the Ouroboros virus across the entire globe. If only he had some sort of weakness that we could. Hang on, I'm getting a call. Oh, hey, it's Jill. And she says that Wesker has a version of the virus inside him that's unstable and requires timely doses to stay regulated. If only we had some of that virus, then we could. Oh, hey, we have some of the virus. Alright, sorry, I'll stop. Couldn't resist. I know Resident Evil's just supposed to be fun, campy horror. Usually. But it's a bit hilarious how much plot the game is trying to jam into the final hour of the game. Feels very Big Trouble in Little China, if you catch my drift. But enough of that, it's time for the final boss. Oh hey, it's that scene they used in the movie that one time. It's cool that the movie actually pulled from my solar plexus. Hang on to your butts, everyone, because this fight takes up the last 30 minutes of the game. The first step to the puzzle is to grab this here rocket launcher, but you can't just use it on the final boss and beat the game. What do you think this is, Resident Evil 4? No, what you need to do is tell SHEVA to grab it, then distract Wesker by engaging in hand-to-hand combat with him, and actually land a punch. But wait, there's more! You also need to turn off the lights around the arena so that Wesker... SHEVA, did you just try to shoot me with the rocket launcher? So that Wesker's tendency to wear his sunglasses at night hinders his ability to see you, which lets SHEVA get a rocket off, which Wesker then catches with his hands, which you can then explode, stunning Wesker long enough that you can grab him, and hopefully, if SHEVA's AI plans far enough ahead, stab him with the MacGuffin. And that's how you beat Phase 1. Did I mention this boss fight takes 30 minutes to beat? In Phase 2, Wesker does what he should have done from the start, and gets in his jet. Thankfully, I planned ahead and bought some tickets for the ride. Just kidding. Have you seen ticket prices these days? I'm not paying that. And after a super cool cutscene where I do some hand-to-hand combat with the flight attendant, things aren't looking good for our duo. Could this be the end of Chris and SHEVA? What? Oh, thank God, there's a memory leak. SHEVA, now! You know, I'm usually upset with the fact that you keep breaking the rules, but that was badass. I'm gonna allow that one. In other news, we just crash landed in a volcano, which is just ridiculous. There's no volcanoes in, oh my God, there's so many volcanoes in Africa. Hey, look, Wesker's still alive. And he lost his pleather shirt. Turns out those muscles weren't just stuffing. Welcome to Phase 2. Or maybe it's 3, I don't know. All I know is that my man's got a gnarly arm, and I'm not sticking around to find out what it does. Run away! I'm okay. I think I landed on my condenser coils. What was that? So fun fact, SHEVA's supposed to be providing support during this part of the level. Wesker has a weak point on his back that she would normally be shooting. But guess who won't be doing any support of any kind? Thankfully, all of my attacks have an area of effect, which means I can just pump round after round into his back and get the same results. And there we go. Easy game for babies. Unless Wesker decides to get even more mutated than before. Yeah, no, I don't know why I expected anything less. New problem, he's slowly closing in on SHEVA, and I don't have an angle to hit him from over here. We're gonna have to come up with a creative solution to save her. Chris, what are you doing, bud? I need to cover SHEVA. Oh, for the love of... You stupid, overpriced excuse for an ice machine. You can't just punch a rock into submission. Oh my God, that actually worked. And after keeping Wesker at bay long enough for SHEVA to escape to a platform, she can now cross the boulder bridge to safety. Somehow.
The human race requires judgment.
And you're going to judge us? You get all your ideas from comic book villains?
No. He also gets his ideas from popular 90s movies. Time for the final phase. Wesker does his blender arm thing, and all we have to do is dodge out of the way, then shoot him in the back. After that, you just gotta backstep away from his meat tornado attack, then shoot him repeatedly in the chest until he stops moving. Repeat ad nauseum, and after 20 plus rocket-propelled explosions, it's finally over. Wesker falls into the lava and burns alive, Josh and Jill show up in a helicopter to save us, and Resident Evil 5 can finally be put to rest. Oh, by Fletchy, Wesker's still alive. Well, that's not good. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that's enough of that. Chris, SHEVA, you know what time it is. Go on and give him the old one-liner.
of a bitch.
And there you go. Resident Evil 5 beaten with mostly just explosives. On my part at least. And despite SHEVA's wanton gun violence, I think it's safe to say that if I had had a buddy along for the ride, we could absolutely have beaten the game with only explosives. And that makes me a very happy refrigerator. But in any case, that's all I've got. Take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.